The Timeshift.
Hello and welcome along, I'm Chris Hall and this is The Timeshift, my little sci-fi fun fest, and it is great to have you with me here on this rather exciting edition of the show, as today I'm going to be talking about Doctor Who Dark Water. This is the penultimate episode of Series 8, so needless to say, this episode is going to be spoiler heavy! So if you don't want this episode spoiled for you, it's probably best if you switch off the video now. Right, everybody ready? Everybody geared up? Let us dive headfirst into Dark Water. So, after last week's fairly pants episode, it is great to say that this week's episode is brilliant and then some. It has some wonderful pacing with some real, genuine mystery, intrigue, and this very, very rich vein of dark humour which runs all the way through it like a stick of rock. And it has this twisted sense of levity to proceedings which this episode desperately needs. This is an episode in which someone screams out in agony as their organs are donated to medical science, and as someone pleads beyond all hope not to be cremated. This is a dark episode and then some, but I love it when Doctor Who gets dark, as that kind of rich darkness, but it's still a family friendly kind of darkness, I think is what Doctor Who should be. Whether or not you agree, by all means comment down in the comment section below. This episode did, however, have probably one of my favourite moments of this entire series, if not one of my favourite moments of this whole new run of Doctor Who. And I think we can all agree, whether or not you think it's as good as that, the scene in which the Doctor and Clara are at the volcano is certainly something special. This is one of these moments which I feel could well become one of those classic epic moments within Doctor Who mythology that we're still talking about in 20-30 years time. We've never had anything quite like it before, and we'll never have anything like it again. This is a scene which is so dark, angsty, intense, with a wonderful performance by Jenny Coleman and Peter Capaldi. I very nearly called him the Doctor in real life, which I think says a leaps and bounds for how great he is as a Doctor. This is a scene which I loved from beginning to end, and you just, whilst you're watching it, really want something good to happen. You want someone to crack a wacky joke or some silly sound effect or something to lighten the mood, because it's a really nasty but brilliant scene. There's a slight downside within it in a couple of the sound effects sound as if they've just been taken from an episode of Yogi Bear, but still, I loved it. And even though the scene itself ended, effectively, it was all a dream, the scene as a whole was wonderful. A little bit too wonderful, it has to be said, and it may sound weird me saying this, but I think the fact that it is so wonderful is at the detriment to everything else in the episode, as this is a scene in which everything after it would have to be as good or better, and personally I don't think that's the case. And that's not to say that everything after that is crap, but it is to say that nothing quite lives up to the same kind of dramatic intrigue as what we had in that scene. Even the revelation that Missy is in fact the Master doesn't quite come close in matching that whole feel and that tension behind it. As I personally feel that when they do reveal that Missy is indeed the Master, we do have all the silly dramatic music in the background that does kind of take away from it ever so slightly, but of course that's my own personal opinion. But with that said, everything in the episode itself really works and really clicks together. But with that said, the scene with Doctor and Clara at the volcano does kind of get put to one side a little bit too quickly, which does make me feel that as brilliant and epic as that scene was, it does start to feel a little bit like a T-Rex in the Thames moment. A scene which is there seemingly just for the sake of the trailer, if nothing else, given just how quickly the Doctor seems to forget what just happened. It does say that he likes Clara too much to just kick her out, but still, if he doesn't make reference to this some point tomorrow, next week's episode, I will be sorely disappointed, as you can't really have a scene quite like this and then just walk away as though nothing happened. Granted, nothing did happen because it was all a dream, but still, this is what Clara was thinking, and this is what Clara is capable of, regardless of whether it's a dream or not. But whatever, we shall see how that all turns out. as a whole, I really loved and enjoyed the story to this week's episode. It was brilliant and amazing and fantastic. Now, given just how glowing I've been towards Jenny Coleman's performance, I think it's fair to say that I really, really liked everyone's performance in this episode. Everyone gave it their A game, and it shows. Jenny Coleman, of course, once again, is the best thing in this episode. The scene within the volcano is probably the scariest scene because of her desperation within it. She really gives it 110% and is fantastic for it. Peter Capaldi is brilliant as the Doctor as always, so we can't really dwell on that too much because that is self-evident. Missy is brilliant. And the great thing about her is that even before the revelation that she is the Master, which I'll be honest is a revelation which I saw coming a mile off, she is a brilliant bad guy. From beginning to end, she is manipulative, dark and wicked. She is the new Master, and whether you like it or not, she is the Master. You can tell this by the way she acts, how manipulative and dark and wicked she can be. She's getting where she needs to be, not by shooting lasers out of her hands like a certain previous Master, but by just being a plain badass, and I love that. Now, I have to say that there isn't very much for me to talk about negative about this episode, as there was nothing bad about it, so let us just dive into the overview. Okay, so there's little else I can realistically say about this week's episode of Doctor Who without repeating myself. It was fantastic, brilliant, and contains one of my favourite scenes of the new run of Doctor Who. Yes, I've said all that previously, but we need something to justify the existence of the overview section. How next week's episode is going to end, I honestly don't know. That's mostly due to the fact that I do not know, and the fact that, well, the only idea I can think of it ending, I really hope isn't the case. I worried that the sleep patch may well make a reappearance. I hope it isn't, but I can easily see it being revealed that as Missy was kissing the Doctor, he slipped a patch on her and then she fell asleep, and everything that we've seen thus far has been just her dreams, similar to what we had with Clara. I hope that that's not the case, though. I can see that being the case, given just how fond Stephen Moffat is for resetting things. But with that said, what do you think? How do you think this series of Doctor Who is going to end? Whether your suggestion be realistic, or silly, or wacky, or just plain weird, leave a comment in the comment section below of whatever web zone you're watching this on. I honestly don't know. This could be just about anywhere and nowhere at the same time. But you know what? There's nothing really else for me to say, so I'll just say to you, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and goodbye.